Devin Booker turns 29 next month, which means we're entering what should be the peak of his career. These are the years where great players usually cement their legacies, chase championships, and stack up on accolades. But instead of competing at the top, the Phoenix Suns are coming off a season where they didn't just miss out on a guaranteed playoff spot, they couldn't even make the play-in tournament. It means they were a bottom 5 seed in the conference, which is such a disappointing fall for a team that not long ago looked like they were knocking on the door of greatness. Over the past few years, the Suns have been plagued by mismanagement, questionable roster moves, and missed opportunities. And it's frustrating because for a stretch, it really felt like they were right there on the brink of becoming a perennial contender. But sadly, all of that momentum has slipped away. And that brings us back to Devin Booker, because I hate seeing him like this. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA, and he stayed loyal for a decade, committing to this franchise when he could have looked elsewhere. And time again, the Suns have continuously let him down. We're now entering year 11 of Devin Booker, and that being said, I think it's safe to say that the Suns are wasting his career. Devin Booker was drafted 13th overall by the Phoenix Suns out of Kentucky back in the 2015 draft. I know it's a dead horse at this point, and if you've been following his career, you likely already know, but Devin Booker came off the bench in college. He played for a Kentucky Wildcat squad that had multiple future NBA players, including, but not limited to, Karl Anthony Towns, Trey Lyles, and Willie Cauley-Stein. Now, in my opinion, Devin Booker should have started on that squad. I know that the 2015 Wildcats are a historically deep roster, but their struggles in the half court, combined with their lack of perimeter shot creation down the stretch that year, could have been solved by a certain guy, but I digress. Anyways, like any team that selects in the lottery, the Suns were absolute piss in the beginning of Devin Booker's career. And that's okay, because rebuilding teams need time to rebuild. The Suns made some good draft picks in that time, like Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and to me, this was the first big misstep for Phoenix. In a draft that featured Luka Doncic, you used the first overall pick to draft DeAndre Ayton. Obviously, hindsight is 2020, and a lot of people had Ayton at 1, and the question of whether him, Doncic, or Bagley should go number 1 was heavily debated. But damn, imagine a Devin Booker and Luka Doncic pairing. Seeing where they both are now and how Ayton's career is going at the moment, I'm sure there's just a little bit of regret in that front office. Let's not forget though, this was seen as a good move back then, and Ayton showed a lot of promise to start his career. Essentially, the Suns had been doing a good job, and it all culminated at the end of the 2020 season in the bubble. The bubble saw a select number of NBA teams that had a good enough record before the season was suspended due to COVID invited out to Orlando to play in one location to finish the NBA season and the playoffs. The Suns were invited, but they were one of the worst teams there. In order to make the playoffs, they would have had to win every single game they had left to even have a shot, and they did exactly that. They went 8-0 in the NBA bubble, where Devin Booker put up monster scoring numbers, averaging 30.5 points per game. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. The teams they needed to lose didn't do much losing either, and all of their efforts were for naught. But it gave Suns fans serious hope for what the team could be in the future. The Suns were better now, and it seemed like they just needed one more piece to truly be great. Over in Oklahoma, Chris Paul had just spent a season mentoring a year 2 SGA and bringing a very bad Thunder roster to the playoffs, even earning a 5th seed, and nearly winning their round 1 matchup, taking the Rockets, who traded him there, to 7 games. It was clear that CP3 was a great addition everywhere he went and could contribute to winning no matter what, but the Thunder were trying to rebuild, and winning wasn't exactly what they were looking for. Thus, it was time to shop CP3. CP3 could be the missing piece to a team that was on the cusp of greatness, a team that just needed that push. So, on November 16th, 2020, the Phoenix Suns sent a number of players that aren't really important to the story, and a first-round pick to the Thunder in exchange for Chris Paul. Combine that with talented wings and a solid big man that showed insane amounts of promise, and the 2021 season was looking bright for the Phoenix Phoenix Suns. In the shortened 2021 season, they finished 51-21 at second in the Western Conference, a large jump from missing the play-in tournament just a year before. Devin Booker earned an All-Star nod, averaging close to 26 points per game. Chris Paul finished 5th in MVP voting and earned a second-team All-NBA spot, averaging 16-9. DeAndre Ayton had a great season, averaging 14 points and 11 rebounds, along with 1.2 blocks. The Wings were also having solid seasons themselves. On paper, this roster was just elite, and they showed that in the playoffs. Now, I know that every team the Suns played was injured. AD was hurt in round 1 when they played the Lakers. Jamal Murray was hurt in round 2 when they swept the Nuggets. And Kawhi was also hurt before they played the Clippers in the conference finals. A lot of people say they shouldn't have made it to the finals, and when they eventually did play a healthy team, they lost. But I think that's really just how the cookie crumbled. Who's to say they wouldn't have beat those teams if they were healthy? The Suns were a good team, and I think to say that they didn't belong in the finals that year is unfair. The Suns made it to the finals, went up 2-0 against the Bucks, who also had their fair share of injury luck, and lost the next 4 games. It was a tough way to end a great season for the Suns, but they had a bright future ahead of them. Chris Paul has a couple more years before he starts seriously declining, and the rest of the roster is full of young guys. There was more to come. So in the 2022 season, when they finished 64-18, they were expected to be right back where they were before. Mikal Bridges earned a first-team All-Defense selection and finished 2nd in Defensive Player of the Year voting. Devin Booker earned an All-Star appearance as well as a first-team All-NBA selection and 4th in MVP voting. Chris Paul got the All-Star nod as well and made All-NBA 3rd team, finishing 9th in MVP voting. And Cam Johnson finished 3rd in 6th Man of the Year voting. This looked like the season where they were finally putting it all together. They won in 6 versus the Pelicans in round 1 and matched up with Luka and the Mavericks in round 2. Being at the top of the NBA, they were the heavy favorites and no one really expected... So after going up 2-0, they eventually lost in embarrassing fashion in Game 7 to the Mavericks in round 2. But that's okay. CP3 and Book both missed some time due to injury the next year, so their record was a little bit worse than last season. But that's okay. They've maintained the same core. It's fine. But Matt Ishbia advised the Suns on February 7th. In the middle of the season. And there's a disgruntled star out in Brooklyn that doesn't want to be there anymore and has Phoenix in his list of preferred destinations. So the Phoenix Suns traded for Kevin Durant on February 9th. Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, and 4 first-round picks get sent to Brooklyn and essentially, in my opinion, destroying the team's identity in sacrifice for a big 3 of CP3, KD, and Book. Kevin Durant ends up getting hurt. He only plays 8 games with them that season, and they end up being round 2 exits. It really is a shame. All that wing depth that made their Suns roster so good outside of the stars, gone. But that's okay because the Suns can still compete with Devin Booker, CP3, and KD. Their window is just a lot shorter, and their margin of error is probably a lot smaller, but that's okay. Devin Booker isn't going anywhere anytime soon, and Matt Ishbia probably just got a little excited off that new owner high. He'll be better. So in a truly head-scratching move, 1 month after being eliminated, CP3 gets traded to the Wizards for Bradley Beal. And I guess the Suns are trying to strengthen their big 3, as CP3 had shown signs of declining. But by adding Bradley Beal, you get rid of a lot of playmaking and financially handicap yourself in the process. Not to mention that your future is already gone because of all of those picks you traded for Kevin Durant. Who knows though? They have Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant on the same team. They can still be good. And at this point, it's over for the Suns. It's either time to blow it all up or retool around Devin Booker. The Suns decide to run it back one more time in an attempt to squeeze the last drops of juice out of the lemon, but they didn't make lemonade. I'm sure you know the story of the Suns in 2025. They finished 11th in the Western Conference and ended up selecting in the lottery. Kevin Durant has since been traded to the Rockets, and nobody wanted Bradley Beal, so they had to buy him out. The Suns are now going to try to win with Devin Booker, Jalen Green, and some bigs they picked up. Devin Booker turns 30 in a couple years. Something has to change. Your window is closing. And if the Suns can't find themselves in contention with Booker on the roster again, this will simply just be another story of a franchise failing their star player. Let me know what y'all think though. Let me know if you think the Suns can compete this year with the roster they got. Let me know if you think Devin Booker will leave by the time his contract is up, or will he even request a trade? I'd love to hear what y'all think, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.
I just go back to my dorm. I just got some food, bro, and dude, I'm literally making a video on this. Yo, I promise I literally am not trying to steal your video idea. I literally just finished the script like an hour ago, and it just popped up on my recommended. I was trying to watch some YouTube while I was eating and stuff.
Airbnb, you became something I cherish and need. In my head, you married to me, but we got close, we died to achieve. Same room, quit staring at me. In the same room,